Hi friends, now today I have the honor of introducing to you Dr. Deepanshu Sharma. He has the rank 55 in this AIIMS May 2019 exam, and I think it's a great rank considering the value that AIIMS has in each of the medical students aspirations. It is, I think, a significant achievement.
Yes, sir.
So Deepanshu, how are you feeling today?
So I'm feeling good. Uh, like from the last aims I gave, I have improved quite a lot, and with the relative amount of hard work I put, I think I'm satisfied with this rank. So I'm feeling great.
Deepanshu, you were a 4 year student with us. You joined us in second prof, and
Yes,
then you
I
followed up
joined in
with third year.
second prof, later continued in third, fourth prof, and finally in internship for the TND.
So how was your DAMS journey?
Uh, Sir, in second year when I joined, I didn't have any idea about like how to what this exam is all about. PG exam is all about in second year. A lot of misconceptions were there about the exam. So joining early helped me quite a lot because in second year when I joined, teachers used to teach everything in detail because I'm in second year. So a lot of like they have a lot of time for us, which if you join later they will might be missing some topics due to the constraint of time. This is one advantage. Second thing is that when you join early, you always get time to do more and more mistakes so that you know yourself better, because uh, because you will ultimately have to commit a lot of mistakes before finally reaching the final that the day exam. So जो मिस्टेक्स करने का पार्ट होता है वो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट होता है इसमें, एंड व्हेन यू जॉइन अर्ली, ये सबसे बड़ा एडवांटेज है. लाइक आई कैन प्रैक्टिस सो माई स्ट्रेटजीज, वॉट वर्क्स फॉर मी, वॉट डजेंट वर्क फॉर मी. If I join late, I have to stick to like this is what you have to do. If you deviate from it, it will be reflected in your rank. But when you join in second year, you can know what works for you by doing more and more mistakes and re-improving it.
So I think the points that he has raised are very valid. That you get time to play around, like you get to know yourself. That okay, if I do more aggressive here, how mistakes happen. If I
Yes.
go hold on, what happens.
Yes.
While if you are in the end year, if you start preparing the last 6 months, you have to stick to what teachers are saying. If you deviate too much,
Yes, sir, this
you
is-
have to. So you got that comfort,
Yes, sir.
that time to do things, and
Yes,
time
sir.
to do things in detail.
Yes, sir.
Teachers had more time, you had more time because you were from second year onwards you were preparing.
So because there is also one reason, because you may not be that lucky. Like there are a few people who will join in later part of years also, and then also they will clear with great ranks. But they know themselves from the earlier. I don't have any idea about this. Like when I was when I joined in second year, I used to think that I have to read a lot, and like the more I read, the more books I consult to, the higher books I consult to, it will provide me a better rank. But this is not the case. Like you have to go through the small stuff multiple times rather than large stuffs, because revision is ultimately important. This is what I learned by doing more and more mistakes. So either you have to be you should know yourself, like you what works for you, and to know this better, you have to give it a chance. Like you will start this way of preparation, it may fail, so you should have the time that yeah, now I can change my strategy, or you can consult to teachers. But when you join in final year and you do mistake, you will not have that time. The time is lost, so it will be reflected in your result very much.
What role did the making notes in the class play in the
So
rank?
notes making is utterly important thing. I think no matter how much you read from book, no matter where you go, but what is more important is but that you should always have notes provided by dams. Like they should be the benchmark. Ultimately, this is what from this is the ultimate thing that you will finally give the exam with. You should not like when you read book, you are encountered with a lot of things which may be important, which may not be important, and at the level of us, it's not that easy for us to differentiate between the two things, that what to leave, what not to leave. So the teachers in the dams, they provide they have already done the hard work, and that is what the role of a good coaching institute is, that they this is what they reduce your hard work. You should not then you should not give then 10 hours a day to actually make notes. You are making notes in the class, so the hard work is done by teacher. Now you have to fetch good results by revising it multiple times. So good notes is very important, because at the end, in every competitive exam it is important, because in the end you have to revise a lot of things in a very short span of time. And to do that, notes making is the best strategy, because no matter how much you read, but what is more important, you ultimate immediate memory में आपके वो चीज़ें होनी चाहिए, और उसके लिए notes नहीं होंगे तो वो नहीं होता.
And it's very important to understand that what he's saying is that when you are in a classroom, when you are learning, while learning, you are with your own hand at that time writing down, and that is your way of writing something. So it is very easy to revise later on, because it is you have written it yourself
Yes,
in the
sir.
class, and that helps you to finish the syllabus in the end faster than others and do multiple revisions.
Yes, sir, sure. Like
And-
when I joined in second year,
Hmm.
second year I missed some classes because that time I was not that serious. But starting from the third year, I have not left any one class. I remember I used to reach on time, honestly, sit on the first bench, and listen to the whatever it is. More importantly, I always gave, if I have to, like, sometimes what happens that due to time constraint, teacher has to run through, then you might not be able to write it. So in that case, you should always prefer to listening the teacher over notes making. You might miss something, but whatever you have learned, you can recall the same day. Because you might not be able to write everything what teacher says, because teacher says a lot of things in between, which are conceptual. Because what you are writing is like, if I make notes, somebody reads my notes, it would just like be a factual thing for other person. I know
Yes.
what teacher has spoken between lines, because I have attended the class. So in this scenario, you should know, like, when I am listening to the teacher, I prefer listening over writing, because listening is more important. Those thoughts which teacher speaks is in my mind, I can recall them on paper,
Yeah.
and that is what.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like for example, when I'm teaching that extradural hemorrhage is biconvex, I would spend like 15 minutes explaining why
Yes,
it is
sir.
happening.
Sir.
But in the end, the message is that EDH is biconvex.
Yes, sir.
So when you will write down in your notebook, it will be only one word.
Yep,
So somebody else is reading, he is just trying to read biconvex. In the exam, he marks it wrong
Absolutely.
because he has not understood it. So
that's why a
I
lot
feel
of people who buy notes photocopies, they will not help. They will never help. You should always go to the coaching institute and write notes by yourself. It's a one-time hard work. Like, it's not something that you are doing for a long time. It's one-time hard work, and it will fetch you results. And if you go and read these printed material, because these are not prepared by you, so you will not be able to retain them, you will not be able to understand them. So I think this is foolishness.
frustration will double. You will start getting frustrated with yourself that I am reading it, but I am not able to do anything. Because there will be fragments which will be missing, because those were the understandings which were happening in the class. Sometimes even when a teacher is telling a joke, but that joke is helping you to remember something, but they may not be written in the
Absolutely.
notes, so that helps.
And even those printed material, I have just encountered one of them. My friend bought them. So what they do basically, they just take somebody's notes, and they just they ask someone of their, like, some boy that to write, who is having good handwriting, to write them and copy them. So he is not a doctor who is writing it. First of all, one thing is that. So he might be not knowing what he is writing. He might be missing things.
Yeah.
So you just go and buy, and you think that you have all the notes, but it's foolishness. Attire is foolishness to even think that it will work. It will not work. Totally, it will not work.
Deepanshu, then later on when you finished your classes with us,
Yes, sir.
you did all your subjects. In the internship, you went for the test and discussion course.
Yes, sir.
So how was that transition?
Sir, in test and discussion course, I basically only whatever I've learned in the past 3 years, I only summed it up. Uh, in initial part of internship, I actually went quite laterally. By the virtue of time, I used to think, because I have made notes, so I was secure enough that whenever something goes wrong, I will ultimately jump to my notes, and it will save me. This confidence also comes with notes. If you are not having notes, you will always be frustrated about that. If anything goes wrong, you won't be able to save yourself, because like we used to do in our university exams also, we used to read notes only, the provided by DAMS. So in that it helps us because I'm able to complete a large chunk of course in short span of time. So due to the repeated revisions during those university exams, my competitive exam preparation also built up on its own. So when I reached in internship, I just focused on what are the important topics, because in my college there was very hectic internship, so I used to focus only on important topics. This is one mistake that everybody does, that you should always work according to the time you get. And this is also another thing that makes me feel that if you have hectic internship, you know it better that in your college you will not have time, so it's better to join early. Again, it emphasizes this thing.
Yeah, and plus you could have anticipated it.
Yes.
And when you enter your college, you can see that interns are doing heavy work. So it is not that when you will become intern that things will change.
Yes.
So you have to plan it beforehand.
Yes, like for example, like you have in orthopedics you have suppose 20 topics to read. 20 topics will cover 90% of the questions. So you need not to study 40 topics, because the input to output ratio should be favoring your, like, effort should be effort should always be productive. It should not be like you are producing effort and it is not coming in the form of rank. This will frustrate you. This will make you feel that you are reading a lot but you are not producing results. It only happens when you do not go in the direction, and the direction is provided by coaching institute, because you will not be knowing what are the important topics unless you give test and you see that these topics are getting repeated in every exam, and so you stress on those topics, because there's a 20-80 rule that you do 20% topics and you cover 80% questions in the exam, rather than when you cannot complete 100%. Even if you try to 80%, you will not be like effort you will produce higher, but the output will get very less. So this is something that in internship is very important, that you have to focus on important topics. And
is it possible to do with internship itself? Like,
So
sometimes
absolutely.
interns, you might have seen with your own, colleagues also, some interns, they become so disheartened that it is very difficult to do. But, if you have, started early, you already have the notes, and if you stick to them, it is possible to do with internship, busy internship as well.
Sir, I would say, I can tell about myself. I even secured near to top 10. Like I have secured rank 11 in JIPMER in internship itself, and not a good rank, but 157 rank in AIIMS also. So considering myself, and because I did this only in internship, so, and I have seen people who have even done better than me, and in very hectic internships. So and year by year the people have done this. So if people have done this, obviously it is possible. This is first thing. What makes it impossible is that which I told earlier also, you should know yourself, that how much you are able to put effort, because in with internship, honestly it will take everything from you. You would not be able to enjoy your life as you do in the early part of years or later, obviously, but that edge of clearing it in the first attempt will always be there with you, because this is the price you pay. Like I know that I used to go to my internship postings, even 12 hours duty, 9 to 10 hours duty, and that time also, even after coming to just having dinner, I used to read for 4 hours, 5 hours. This causes pain. Like, this is obviously the price. This is the price. But what keeps me sitting at that table and chair and is my dream, which I have seen for myself, and that dream will always keep you that fire alive in you, so that you will always be putting effort. And this is what the price is. The main thing is that it's not that people don't do it in second attempt, people don't do it in third attempt. You should know whether you want to do it right now or not. If you are having time, then obviously it is better to should not waste time and rather preparing it. But if you have hectic internship, only the people who are able to produce that much effort will be able to do it. Like, it will take your effort, quite effort it will take. You will not be able to enjoy everything. You will have to shut your the outings, the relatives. You have to say that I am preparing, and this is where the family support also comes somewhere, because they know that let the child be preparing for it. So ये तो होता है कि like effort तो बहुत ज़्यादा है, मतलब कि internship में अगर आपकी internship hectic है then effort तो काफ़ी जाएगा, but ये है कि
हो सकता है
100% हो सकता है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि नहीं हो सकता.
Yeah. So that is where the focus is required. If you listen to him carefully, all the most important things he are telling, the most important thing is you should have focus. You can't be saying that I want to have a in these last 6 months before the exam I want to do good family life also, I want to do outing also,
Absolutely.
I want to go out also, like then it will suffer. But if you are able to channelize all your energy onto two things, work, study, work, study, work, study, it is possible to do. Plus, do not overdo things then. At that time you have to say that okay, I have less time, I will stick to the most important topics, I will stick to the most important, like he said that
Absolutely.
he stuck to the 20% most high yield topics rather
Sir.
than going for useless too many things.
Like even if you like, this is something that is very important. Even if you are too anxious about that, yeah, you are ready to put the hard work. Like I said, that few people will be motivated and thinking that I am able to produce hard work, I can read as many hours I want, and there are people who do a lot of hard work but still they are not able to get what they want. That there comes the importance that hard work is not a scalar quantity, it's a vector quantity. You need a direction. Like if I want to move a block and I'm putting my hands over here away from the block will not move. So you should know the important topics, you should know what you are reading, whether it is producing your fetching your results or not. There comes the role of the coaching institute very much. You should always join a coaching institute, and especially DAMS, because DAMS provides, I think, the most updated I have seen. Like it is very much close to what the recent pattern is, and especially the books that are provided here, they are also now books are also updated day by day. The color images are there now, new pattern aims is there, new pattern questions of aims are there. So this is something very important, because if you are reading by yourself, you might be missing these things, and these things are shared by other people and they will have edge over you. So you should join.
any particular teachers who come to your mind today when you
Sir, first of all, the two important persons I have recently met and I have always cherished about them. So obviously you, Dr. Sumir sir, and Dr. Deepti Bhel. I have never got this much level of guidance from any teacher so long, and these two people have guided me last time also when I came for JIPMER for the interview, and this time also when I have distracted in my what I have decided somewhere along also, they always supported me and guided me that what to do now, that what path you should choose now, this is option you are having right now, what is this. So these two people are, I think, very special in my life, and I will always try to, I mean, whatever I do in my life later, I always share with the Sumir sir and Deepti ma'am, so that I all get all blessings.
Yeah, we are really proud of your achievements, and I think you have been consistently doing well.
Yes.
है ना? So can I ask you a question that you gave the AIIMS exam in November also, you gave the AIIMS exam this time also,
Yes,
and this time there were a lot of hype about the new pattern.
Yes, sir.
So can you help the future aspirants about what are the differences to expect as per the new pattern it goes?
So first of all, I'd like to tell you all the people that in AIIMS November 1 I got 157 rank. This was the first exam that I gave in last year, and I put a lot of hard work in that year, and I was very much anxious about AIIMS, because I want to very much anxious that what this exams is, and I used to think that this, I used to make it more stressful rather than, it was not balanced. My preparation was not I was chill or I was cool. This is something that is very important I want to give, that you should be always be chilled about the exam. You should be cooler about the exam.
Don't put so much pressure on yourself that the performance suffers.
Yes, because then the negativity will start to pile up. Because stress is important. Stress keeps you alive. That you have to put the hard work. But stress should also be balanced. Stress should not be this much that it will ultimately decrease your performance. And this is what had happened with me that time in November. Because how I am able to anticipate that, or how I am able to tell that, because in a gap of 10 or 12 days when I even didn't study anything and I went for a trip, I didn't do anything. So my knowledge was stagnant, this is what I have attained. in a gap of 15 days I gave JIPMER and I got a rank of 11. So when I compared the two things, I realized that getting a rank in JIPMER doesn't affect me, because I'm not going to JIPMER. But when I wanted AIIMS, so it created the stress right from the beginning. Like when I sat on the chair to give the exam, the stress was there. That what will I do? When will the question will come? This stress is there. I was not chill. I was not cooler. So this was something that happened. In May, I didn't. Frankly speaking, I think 1 month before this pattern changed. Okay, so I didn't. My plan for continuing giving the exams actually changed, and I planned to do something else apart from this medical background. So I didn't, but I have filled the forms for AIIMS. So I just decided to give AIIMS. Okay, but I didn't. Honestly speaking, I didn't do anything. I mean, I can say that people will not believe, but I have not put any effort over this, because I was not concerned about whether I'll get it or not. So but what is more important that I want to give the viewers is that I gave this exam again in my least amount of stress, and in a very, I mean, the coolest thing. Like when I gave this exam of May, I knew only one thing, that whatever the question I'm encountering in the exam, I'll eliminate options and I'll do my best. And I will not think, because I am not bothered about whether I'm going to get AIIMS or not. This is the one thing that is more important. And it is very easy to say this right now. It doesn't happen with someone who wants AIIMS or any other institute. It is, but ideally you should give the exam like this only. Because because when you are in stress, you will not be able to produce your 100%. That is something that I have learned, and I will carry this for my entire life. That no matter how much hard work you put, but if you are stressed in the exam hall and you have lost your exam temperament, you won't be able to produce your 100%. Like
the cutting edge goes. The killing in the final thing will go, and instead of getting into top 10, you will get into top 100. Top 200. Suddenly 100%. You will not be able to kill it. So what he's saying is very, very important, that some stress is important, but too much stress is actually detrimental to your performance.
Absolutely.
So you have to put yourself under some stress, that I want to do well in life. That is good. But if you put yourself under too much stress, which I believe happened to you in the first time when you gave the AIIMS exam, that this is what I want, this is what I want, this is the only thing I want, this is the only thing I want, and suddenly you put so much pressure on yourself that those few questions you start doing some silly mistakes. Absolutely. And they pull your rank down. Instead of like the top 10, now you are at 150, and other JIPMER you gave it with ease, you are in top 10 again.
Yes,
so that happens, and that helps actually. So what he's saying is, if we put everything that he said in a nutshell, is that start early, give yourself time to learn about yourself also, because when you start early, you get time to understand yourself.
Absolutely.
Make notes.
Yes, sir. Make notes is important.
Then in internship, go for more high yield stuff. Know your internship beforehand, that what kind of internship to expect in your medical school. Then plan accordingly. Then on the day of the exam, he has made mistakes, and then he has learned that if on the day of exam I take it like too much to heart, you want it, you want it, but if you make it all that you want, suddenly the performance starts to dip.
Obviously, it's not the end of life if you get into institute. Your future is not decided by something this, whether you're getting into that institute or not. You should always be like, I am putting my hard work. It may fetch or it may not fetch me result, but honestly what I'm doing, I should be honest with what I'm doing. And you should feel like this, so that when you give exam, the positive side of it is that you will not feel stressed. I'm not saying that if you put hard work, you won't get results, but you should, before exam, you should feel like this somehow.
I have a word for what you're saying. My word here is, actually I've done a small video on this before. I call it as detached passion. That you have passion about thing, but you are detached from it also. Like detached from the outcome, passionate about the journey, but detached from the outcome. So you are able to do better. But when you become too occupied with the outcome, and then things will suffer. You'll just
Absolutely.
bother like I want to get into, but your idea should be you should be passionate about the work itself, that I'm enjoying the paper, and when you're enjoying it, I'm enjoying studying, things automatically happen.
Because sir, right now the pattern which has changed, it has gone into more time consuming pattern.
Yeah.
Which if I compare with the earlier pattern of AIIMS, it was all single answer objective type. This time I felt ki the multiple answer types, you have to, like, one question is taking me the time equivalent to 4 questions, and the marks rewarded or same, because 1/5, so it will cost you only 1 mark, but the time it is taking is equivalent to 5 questions. So you also have to have a race with time also. You in AIIMS, the questions will not be like you read things and you just apply it, or they are not at the spinal level. In AIIMS, questions would be testing your concepts, they would be testing how you're able to apply your knowledge. So you have to use your central nervous system and the gray matter very much. And there is one thing that I read somewhere, and some topper or something, I don't remember, but there is something how our memory works. Because when you how this will help somebody to know that why stress is detrimental. That when you acquire knowledge from any source, you should always maximize your stimuli. That when you sit in class or when you read, there's a difference. When you sit in class, your visual sense and your auditory sense are active, but when you read, you're only seeing and you're not even speaking. When you give answer to the teacher, the involvement part is increasing, so the probability of something getting retained in your mind is always heightened in class. So that's why whatever you read is important, but being in class is most important, because ultimately what you will produce is because of class. It's not because of what you read. That is more important. So when you acquire knowledge, you should always read it in a manner that it gets retained properly. And next thing that the next phase that comes in exam is you have to retrieve it. To retrieve it back, your mind should be enough cooler to retrieve. If your mind is stressed out, you won't be able to retrieve it, although it's in your subconscious. So to get it out of your subconscious, that barrier has to be crossed only when you are cooler and you are chill. So that is where this thing happens. You might be knowing a lot of things, but are you able to produce it in the form of a result or not? That is where this stress comes, and I think this is much important.
And it is like, how much you know, but how much are you able to retrieve on the day of the exam is
Absolutely.
also the key. Because sometimes I've seen that many people, when they're preparing for competitive exams, they might be working very hard, but the results may not be.
Absolutely.
So we have to give value to whatever he's saying, and I think they all make a lot of sense. What he has talked about the classroom is, I often repeat the same thing in my classes as well. It is about mindfully being there. You can't be sitting physically in a class with mind somewhere else. You have to be answering when things are asked. You have to be engaged. During that process, you are utilizing all your parts of your brain, your occipital cortex, your auditory cortex, everything, and your association fibers, commissural fibers are trying to integrate things.
Absolutely.
At that time, learning is at its peak, and that is where you have to maximize it. And those are the things which develop your subconscious understanding.
Absolutely.
And over it there is a zone of conscious remembrance or the final memory that happens. But in the exam, actually, the understanding part plays much more role than the remembering part, especially in an exam like AIIMS.
Yeah, sir. Even NEET is converting
Yeah.
into something very conceptual.
Yes. Yeah.
So this factual thing is going. I think you will not encounter much of the factual things. And even in the facts, there are concepts. I don't know why people say that this is. There may be some bland facts, like if you're.
In the end, there are reasons for everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a fact which does not have a why behind it. You may
Yeah.
not know it right now, but there
That
will
is
be
the thing.
some why.
Yeah.
There will be some evolutionary why a human brain has a size like this, why esophagus has a length of this. There is a why somewhere. So when you start seeking whys, you start enjoying it.
Absolutely.
But for that, you need to have time. So that is where
Yeah.
starting early kind of work.
Absolutely, sir. And this is what people call it. I think intelligence, that you are able to produce more output when you. This is what people call intelligence. Like you are not putting that effort, but you are getting way higher than it. But actually, you are producing intelligent guesses in the exam, which other person is not able to produce. So this is the difference of the skill, rather than you blame your mind about it. That it's not your mind that is weaker, it's the way you approach things is weaker, and that is better in somewhere else.
Deepanshu, any final messages for the audience now?
I would like to say all the viewers that it's very important, first of all, to know what you want to do in life, what you expect from you in life. Know yourself better. There are two things that is more important: know yourself better, and know the exam that you want to give better, and try to sync the two. Because if you do not know any one of them, you will fail in the exam. And another thing is that whatever you have decided for you, do work according to that. You should know what you want to achieve at every point of your life, and you should always run after it until you get it, until and unless you get it. And this is what is more important: you should stay away from negative people, stay away from negativity which pulls you down. Be happy, be with everyone who is positive, your parents, your friends. Be happy with them, who pushes you up. And always know that this is your story. You have nothing to answer about anyone. Whatever you're doing in your life, it matters to you and your family, and your teachers, or might be some of your friends, but not everyone. So you should be proud that whatever you're doing, you're producing your best efforts, and you should not be feel stressed about anything, because this is not the end of life. It's a part of life, it's not the life in itself. So this is what is more important. And I think
with this note, I would repeat that, he said a very beautiful line, that exams are part of life, they're not life in itself. So when you start taking them at their right value, that okay, this is just an exam, you start feeling less stressed about it. Absolutely. Your performance improves. It is like a vicious cycle. More you are stressed about the outcome, more you try too much, you are stressed out too much, and the performance suffers, the negativity comes back, you meet more other negative people, the vicious cycle continues more and more. Absolutely. You have to somehow, if you're in a loop right now, you have to somehow break it. And that breaking might start by, blocking some negative people in the beginning, because you have to somehow find positivity, stick Absolutely. To it, and make change your negative cycle in life that is going on to a positive loop. Cycle. Yes, you have to do it, and I'm sure you can do it. And with this, I am very, very happy to hear from Deepanshu today, and I'm sure he is going to do well in life. Yes, on behalf of the entire DAMS family, he has been our student for last 4 years. We are very, very proud of him. He's been just like our child for last 4 years. We've seen him grow up, and I've seen him, getting more mature about things. Yes, and I think, he'll do well in life. And I congratulate him again, and I would like to convey my congratulations to his parents as well. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.